Welcome back, everyone. This is the Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, and I am joined today by Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat, and we're here to talk about Hearthstone. Welcome back, guys.
I may or may not be here to talk about Pax and Magic.
Oh, are you? Okay. Wonderful. So, that's your warning, people who can't stand it when we talk about related card games.
Yeah.
Just leave now.
Nah, don't leave now. Stick around, but just get real angry. That's better.
I mean, yeah, just become one with your inner chicken and get real angry.
Feel the rage. Feel the rage.
Feel it. Enrage yourself. That sounded
But yeah,
dirty.
no, I did go to Pax South this weekend, and it was amazing. A few people who were fans of this very show came up to me and said hello, so that was nice. Thank you to those people. You know who you are. I'm gonna forget your names. I'm so sorry.
I was gonna say that means Dills does
call
not remember your name at all.
No, yeah, that's not gonna happen. But it was we were actually doing a Magic draft, or no, it wasn't draft. It was the two-headed giant sealed tournament, and I'm sitting there and I'm playing, and a guy not in my match, like to the match to our left, just like looks up and goes, "Are you Willie Dills?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Oh, I heard your voice." So I guess he was just like doing his thing, and they just heard me talking. So that was a cool little moment. But thanks for everybody for coming up and saying hi. It was really an honor to meet all you guys. So that was cool.
Yeah, guys, that never stops being cool. For the record, when we're at BlizzCon or Nerdtacular,
always cool. Yeah,
like the fact that anyone gives a crap enough about the show to A, know what we look like, and B, come up and say hi. That's pretty sweet.
The weird thing about podcasting, right, is that a lot of times people have no idea what you look like. And that's slowly changing because we are doing video versions of the show and streaming and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, it was excellent. I had some cool conversations with some people and got to play a little bit of Hearthstone, watch some Hearthstone, played a lot of Magic, though. A lot of Magic.
Yeah, that tends to happen at places like that. Happens at BlizzCon every year. I know we're there for Blizzard games, but it devolves into drinking and Magic.
Yeah. You know what it is, though? It's because in your regular life, you have to seek Magic out, and you don't just, it's not something you just you can sit at your house and play it. Yes, there is Magic Online. That is a thing that exists in this world. But you have to, go to a store or go meet up with a friend or something like that, and it just doesn't happen as often, right? So when you're actually, hanging out with a bunch of other nerdy people, yeah, I got my Magic cards. Let's go. But the PAX, I hadn't done this before. They basically just run tournaments all day, every day. And you can just come play in them and you win prizes and stuff. So you tickets depending on how well you do. And it was a really good time. I actually did pretty well.
I was going to say, did you win anything cool?
Yeah, I did, actually. So the first one we played was the two-headed giant. We went 2-2, actually, because our fourth opponent left. And we crushed our third opponent because they both got mana screwed or something. It was pretty hilarious. But then you win tickets, and 10 tickets is worth a pack. And then if you win a whole bunch of tickets, you can get foil cards or the Comic-Con Black Jace they had and stuff like that. And you can get all these really cool things. And then I didn't do very well the next tournament we played. But then the next day we did a kind of old school Magic sealed tournament where they gave you 6 packs that were all from older sets, right? So this was the Return to Ravnica set, which it's not super old, but it's old enough. And
that's when I started playing. Was at the end,
really?
The tail end of Return to Ravnica.
It's 2012 because this was the card that won me all my games. It's called Desecration Demon. It's a 6/6 flyer for 4 mana.
So it's broken.
Yeah, but the opponent can tap it and put a counter on it by sacrificing one of his own creatures. So it's I would get 5 for 1 with this card every single game. But yeah, I went 3 wins, 1 tie, and no losses. And I was basically had the best record of the whole tournament.
Damn fine, sir.
It's
Damn
cool,
fine.
Man. Yeah. I was pretty proud of myself. I mean, that was maybe the 3rd or 4th time I've ever done that. And I just over time I've gotten a little bit better. It very much feels like Arena, though. You're not going for, I have to have broken card. I have a broken card. Let's build around that, right? Type of thing. So, really good times.
Well, I hate to rain on your tournament winning parade, Dills, but there was a significantly more important tournament that was held this weekend.
At PAX? Yeah, I was there too for that.
No, I'm talking about the Angriest Chicken Open, of course.
Oh, well, yeah, that one.
Jeez. God, I'm trying to keep up.
Now, I was paying attention to what was going on, but I wasn't able to make it for the casting. But tell me all about it, guys. I want to hear all
well,
about
first
it.
of all, Soybean, who was the first of the two finalists to reply to me when I added him on BattleNet, I believe his first question was, "Did Dills make it?" And I said, sadly, no, sir. He is off at PAX.
Yeah, I tried to get a nice little portable setup to take with me, but there just wasn't reliable internet anywhere. My phone was having I was thinking, I could tether, but it was there's so many people on their phones, on devices everything was slow.
That's why at the end of the last show, I know you were joking, you're like, oh, fine, you don't want me. It's like, no, I know I've tried to do this bullshit before at cons, and it's just not worth it. It's just I
could have left and gone to a hotel or something, and that might have worked, but then that's a whole other thing too. So
you don't need to. You're at PAX, enjoy yourself.
Right.
Exactly. There'll be plenty of cons this year that we'll all be at, where we're gonna have to wrangle each other to do stuff. But
yes.
So take enjoy this time without Jocelyn and I to just take in the convention.
I did actually. Right when you guys were doing this, I was playing Dreadnought, which is I don't know if you guys have heard about this game. It's like a MOBA with spaceships. You fly like spaceships. You have a team of 5, but they move like Star Trek spaceships, really slow. It's kind of like it's you have some quicker ones, but you just kind of rotate real slow and lock on with missiles and do all this stuff. It's awesome.
Nice.
So yeah,
I dig it.
I might be able to get you guys into the beta. We're gonna work on this. Yeah.
Oh, it's in beta? Oh, snap.
It's in alpha right now.
Go and dust your shoulders off, Mr. Fancy Pants.
No, dude, the guy who hooked it up, Mike Roma, a big fan of the show.
I've met Mike before. Mike's a great guy. I think we all have. He was at, he was at the
I think
meetup.
I met him at BlizzCon the year before. That was the first time I met him. But awesome guy.
But anyway, back to the Angry Chicken Open Winter 2016. Big congrats to Soybean and Dice Clay for making the finals. The VODs are up right now on youtube.com/AMoveTV if you want to see it. I won't spoil who won. I would just say congrats to both of those players for making it to the finals. It was a 128-person freaking tournament, and they made it all the way through and won. So huge congratulations to you guys and to the champion, who shall remain nameless. May you enjoy drinking from your custom champion pint glass.
The pint glass looks so cool this time too. Barbecue Master did an excellent job. It actually looks like a trophy with the chicken on top.
It's so good. Excellent. It's so good. Yeah, he sent it. He's like, "Hey man, is this good?" I'm like, "Why are you even asking? It looks just go. It looks fantastic." It was so freaking wonderful. So big thanks to Barbecue Master. Again, folks, if you want an Angry Chicken pint glass, you can get one at bit.ly/AMoveStore. But you can't get that one. So.
Nope. There is a unique pint glass to the winner of each taco tournament. So our next one is going to be Taco Spring, which is going to be right at the end of April.
Can we just call it Taco Supreme Taco Spring?
If we ever get to the point where we're no longer going to run tacos, then that will be Taco Supreme.
Okay.
Or maybe
maybe
somehow do an annual tournament or something.
We'll do 3. We do 4 a year, right? So we do 3, and they'll be spring, summer, whatever, and then the last one will be Taco Supreme, right? Yeah.
We'll work it in somehow, I'm sure.
That's what I was going to say. If we ever get to the point where we do a 5th grand championship at the end after all 4 seasons, that could be Taco Supreme. But I also like Jocelyn's idea. The last taco ever will be the Taco Supreme.
Taco Supreme? All right.
Yeah. I also kind of like that idea. Although I hate to think of there ever being a last taco ever. So.
I know, right? They are so much fun. We have a great time every time. We actually had the most participation ever in this past tournament this weekend. It was a lot of fun. We had everybody in Twitch chat just hanging out, talking about games, talking about crazy game stories. The amount of crazy game stories that were coming out of Taco was just amazing. So I'm kind of sad. Everyone was like, oh, how do I submit crazy game stories? I'm like, oh, throw them on Reddit, put them on Twitter, put them all over the place, email them in. And we didn't actually get any Taco crazy game stories. It's like, guys, don't ask me how and tease me like that.
Yeah, people being people. But anyways, congrats again, everyone. And just all around, bang up job, everyone. I'm so happy. There was only one minor incident of someone being skeezy. Other than that, to have that many players and to have basically no problems whatsoever, thank you guys. Thanks to all the participants for being just good people. We appreciate it. It's nice. So, let's get into this. What was that?
Sorry, is the bracket still available somewhere?
Yep. It's challenge.com/taco winter16.
Oh God. Okay.
Or you can look for the most recent angry. Actually, sorry, not the most recent. The second to the most recent taco post on amove.tv. We'll still have a link to the.
I'm gonna find it. I got
Yep.
it. Here it is. Got it. I just need to see how Jerry did, so I can maybe, or did he even play?
Jerry didn't play, no.
There you go. There you
No,
go.
Jerry couldn't make it because he's
Oh,
in
he was
Iowa.
in Iowa for the caucuses. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's off being a nut job with his contender card game, which I finally played my copy this weekend. I played it before at Nerdtacular, but I played my actual copy this weekend. I had such a good time.
Nice. Yeah, I saw the tweet from Scott because they were in some article that just described them as a pair of men. So Scott was like, I will forever now call you a pair of men.
That's amazing. I didn't.
Have you met my pair of men friends?
pair of
Jerry.
men?
Yeah, they're a pair of men.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, let's get into this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
Oh, well, this is interesting this week. Red Bull is returning to the Hearthstone circuit. Actually, this Friday. Or no, Saturday, right? Saturday. This is wrong. This is totally Saturday. I don't know who wrote this. I totally wrote this. This Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, the Red Bull Team Brawl tournament will be going down. And it's bringing with it a new co-op format that they're calling Team Sealed. So this is rather apt to Dill's weekend experience, seeing as you played some Sealed Magic, Dills. And if you listen to older episodes of The Angry Chicken, you probably hear me go on and on about how much I love Sealed Magic. I sure wish we could have Sealed Magic in Hearthstone. Well, Sealed Hearthstone, I guess. It wouldn't be Sealed Magic in Hearthstone. Nonetheless.
It's pretty close though. Have you checked out the tool yet?
I have not checked out the tool. There's a tool?
Yeah, so Tempestorm.com has the tool that they are using for the tournament available.
Okay, I'm gonna
and
go.
it's awesome. So what we should do maybe, Garrett, is we should like set up a day where we play each other with this thing and see.
I think that would be exquisite.
Yeah. Basically what happens is you open a bunch of packs
Although I would
each set.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
So, yeah.
I would assume you would need to have every card in the game potentially.
Probably. I mean, it's gonna open random cards for you. So I guess we could make rules that if you don't have certain cards, you could replace them. But these guys are going to be pulling from every single card in the game. But yeah, it just randomizes, pulls a bunch of cards from each set. So classic all the way through to the newest League of Explorers, and you get a set of 240 random cards, and then you have to build 3 decks. Now you'll get more than 2 copies of certain cards. But that just means you can use, like, let's say you get 3 big game hunters. You could put a big game hunter in each deck. So you just make 3 decks based on the cards you pulled. This is very similar to a lot of like team Magic tournaments and stuff like that, where they just pull a whole bunch of cards and then make a deck for each player. So it's kind of like that, and that's I think what they're modeling this after a little bit. But it's pretty
definitely
awesome, man. Check it out.
Yeah. So the format for the tournament specifically, it's going to be a team format. There's going to be 4 teams of 3 players each. Obviously, it's completely invitational. There was no open for this. It would be, I don't even want to think about the logistics
can't even imagine.
that would go into having an open tournament with this specific format in Hearthstone. But basically, those 4 teams each will open a randomized set of 240 cards using, I'm assuming, this Tempo Storm tool. And
Yes.
that will dictate what cards they are allowed to use to build a deck. And they're going to have to build 3 30-card decks. They're going to have 30 minutes for the deck building phase. This already sounds incredibly similar to Sealed in Magic. Players,
It's like the World
you have-
Cup of Magic. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's like the same thing. They have 3 players from countries or whatever, and then they build decks, 1 for each player. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know it works. So, this is going to work, man. This is going to be awesome. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I'm stoked as well. There's going to be no sideboards, which I'm disappointed in, because why not at this point if you're playing with a set number of cards? I personally would like to see sideboards, but that's whatever. I'm just excited about this format. I'm really excited about this tournament. And the way that they'll be playing is interesting because all 3 players from one team will be playing all 3 players from the other team in a simultaneous, what they're calling a heat. So you're going to have 3 simultaneous 1v1s going on at a time. the teammates will be able to talk to each other via mic'd up headsets in the middle of playing, which I feel like would hurt you more than help you if you're all playing individual games.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I feel like asking for any kind of help or even talking about what cards your opponent has, like any kind of information, if you're already trying to focus on your game, trying to help your teammates at the same time, or remember information about your opponents, like just all of it, it just seems like chaos.
I mean, I would say that that's true probably for most players, but I think players at the top of the heap can handle this. I think it's a benefit because you can say while someone else is not, in their turn, they can like kind of peek over and see what's going on and say, well, think about this, and then make sure you're like actually considering all of the options and all the possibilities. Not necessarily to like keep track of anything for you, but just to kind of have someone to bounce what your thoughts are off of, I think is going to be helpful for these players. Now, if it was me and I had you guys in my ears and we were all trying to do it, it might be a little different because we're not seasoned tournament players.
Those times when we're on Skype together, not doing the show, not stream, we're just hanging out, and at least two of us are playing Hearthstone, and one of us is talking to the other about their game, and then there's one of us just playing by themselves and no one can see the game. That's the most unhelpful thing on the face of the earth. So I'm curious. I think it's going to just come down to a lot of cheering, like, oh my god, it's up deck BGH, we don't need a BGH, eat it! And the rest of the guys are going to go, good for you, shut up kid, don't get cocky, I need to concentrate.
But the other thing too is that let's say one player finishes their game, they essentially now can just slide right on over and help the other two guys with their games, right? So it's just a matter of makes it more of a team aspect. And this is actually the same as I mean, look, people are going to probably write an email. Dills keeps bringing up Magic now. Look, I'm bringing it up because it's actually applicable. This is the same exact thing, except in Magic they are at 3 tables next to each other and they slide over and talk about it. And they also actually have a team captain most of the time in those team formats who's not playing at all and can just kind of walk back and forth between all of the tables, which isn't part of this, but this is all very, very similar. And I have a feeling Rainhead had a lot to do with coming up with some of these ideas and Kibler and some of the other like former Magic players, because there's a lot of parallels that you can draw here.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm actually really disappointed that Kibler is not in this tournament.
I know.
I know he just had appendicitis, I believe.
Yeah,
so,
he did. I think he might be casting it though. He is in the trailer video for it though, like explaining the format and stuff. Like they feature him prominently there.
Yeah,
so it might have been that he was planned to be a player.
Yeah,
and then,
he's not casting. It's Frodan, Azumo, and Hyped.
I'm really interested in how they're going to cast and broadcast this tournament. If they've got 3 1v1s going on at like all at the same time, they're going to have to, I don't know if they're going to jump between games or if they're going to like cover each game individually or, how that's actually going to work. I think if they assign maybe like one caster to each game, that could be interesting. And then have like a production person being like, oh, something cool is happening over here. I'm going to go, we'll see this person casting this game. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they end up broadcasting.
They'll probably have a feature game, and then they'll check in on the other games going on.
I would think that's the only way you can do it, unless they have some type of specific tool akin to, like, MLG used to have, like, the multicaster. Like, you could have all of the ML streams up that were going simultaneously all up at the same time. It'd be really cool if Red Bull would be doing something like that, but I've never seen them employ a tool like that, so I don't think...
Well, you want to have like, the audience be able to focus, right, and watch one stream, and that's like the main stream. So like it would be awesome for people who love like multi-twitch and like to just like look at everything going on at the same time. But I think for most of the audience, you're just going to want to watch stuff, and then when a big highlight or something happens, you cut to that and you see what's going on, or somebody's like getting close to lethal or something like that, and then they can quickly cut, and the casters will kind of be the same, but they'll have their eyes on all the games essentially a little bit just to kind of monitor what's happening, but just give the focus to the audience on just one game at a time. But it is an interesting production problem, to be sure. It's similar to, like, say, a poker tournament, right? They have a feature table, but then when a big all-in happens on another table, they'll just cut to it real quick and talk about it. So I'm guessing something along those lines.
I think so as well.
It seems like a little bit, I guess, a little bit different because Hearthstone is a little bit more fast-paced, I think, than poker. Like, if somebody is playing a poker hand and they go all in, you can go to the table and get a really quick recap and you haven't really missed too much. But in Hearthstone, usually like the big crazy moments have to do with how RNG works out. So you kind of, by the time something cool has happened that you should probably switch to, like it's already happened, it's already over. So
Yeah,
you
they'll
kind of
probably
miss
rely a
that
lot on replays.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, to do it like right and super crisp and look nice, they're gonna have to have one hell of a production team. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to just have a mainstream and that's it, and we'll just get caught up at the end of all 9 games. Because by the way, this is going to be group play, so all 3 players will play all other 3 players for a total of 9 games. Each player individually will only play 3. So you just get points at the end. Just whoever has the most wins basically moves on. There's only
2 teams will move on to the finals. Yeah.
Right, because there's only 4 teams. So at the end of all of the absurd amount of games that are played, everyone's wins will be counted, and the 2 teams with the most wins moves on to the finals. The other 2 teams, you're done. Sorry.
Yeah.
So where was I going with that?
Probably who's on what team?
Yes, we've got Archon, Liquid, Tempo Storm, and Cloud9. Zalea, Firebat, and Amaz will be repping Archon. Savitz, Dog, and Trump will be repping Liquid. Eloise, Reynad, Ratsmo will be doing Tempo Storm, and Strifeko, Hafu, and Tides of Time are on Cloud9.
Do we have any favorites?
My
looking
money's
at these players.
My money's on Cloud9.
Yeah.
I really would like to see Cloud9 win here, only because we don't get to see Hafu very often because she's an arena, not a constructed player. So I don't know. I like watching her stream. I like watching her play. So I would like to see her do well in this tournament.
Yeah,
I'm actually for the similar reasons pulling for Tempo Storm because of Ratsma. I think that's why you see Ratsma and Hafu on these teams. They're arena specialists, and this is not a constructed tournament. Knowing how to build a deck and take the tools you have and put them together into a deck that's not a standard deck you're going to see all the time on the ladder, not something that you've perfected over time and played hundreds of games and grinded the ladder with, is a skill that a lot of these players may not have. A guy like Strifecrow doesn't do this very often. He pretty much builds decks and then refines them over time, whereas someone like Ratsma and Hafu are going to have a lot of experience doing this. I think the interesting thing, too, is if you look at like Archon, Amaz is really their arena specialist on that team, and Trump is the specialist, the arena specialist for Liquid. So each team kind of has an arena specialist on it, and then 2 kind of other very highly qualified constructed players. So they've all kind of followed a little bit of a similar model as far as building their squads. But yeah, I think Tempo Storm, Cloud9, I think are the 2 favorites. I agree with you guys about Cloud9 for sure.
Yeah. So definitely watching it this weekend. On like how excited are you guys for this new format? Because I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, very excited, and hopefully it goes really well. Unfortunately, it's the same weekend as the Super Bowl, right? But it's on Saturday, so we're fine.
Does anyone care about that? I don't.
I do.
Hello, Jocelyn? Guy who
Very,
lives
very
in
much
Texas
so,
can't really
actually.
avoid it. Yeah, I think it all happens on Saturday, though, right? Like, isn't that it's just a one-day thing?
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's gonna be on Saturday. The Super Bowl's on Sunday. And
Oh, I thought you meant Super Bowl is on Saturday. I was like,
Yeah. By the way, Jocelyn, just so you know, they moved the Super Bowl to Saturday
for the first time in history. Yeah, it's gonna be on Saturday. So
Yeah, so I think it's fine. It would be really, really poor timing if they'd like done. Yeah, it's a 2-day tournament. Finals on Sunday. It's like, yeah, no one's gonna watch that.
yeah, fun stuff. So. Also moving on, Dills, I'm curious if you saw any of this. The 3rd Tespa Hearthstone Championship, which actually started back in September, happened this past week in the finals at PAX.
I did watch a little bit, but like I said, I was playing Magic most of the time, so I didn't watch too much. But here's the problem with this tournament. This tournament is great to have on like Twitch and to be sitting at your house doing whatever you're doing and watching it. But because there was 3 players all discussing each turn, they roped almost every turn I watched. And when you're standing on a con floor and you've been standing and walking around for a long time, God, you don't want to stand there anymore. So, yeah, I watched a little bit. I really enjoyed, I think it was Admirable, TJ, and Frodan on commentary when I was watching at the Twitch booth, which was really, really, really well set up right in the front there. So I did watch some of it. And it was well done. I really enjoyed I like the format a lot, but like I said, it's just that wasn't a good environment for me to stand there and watch Hearthstone. But I'm sure that all the people who watched it at home, it was really great, and the games were really interesting. You know, young players you don't know anything about, and having them kind of pour over each turn meant that the casters could really pour over each turn as well, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I think Garrett and I kind of experienced or realized when we were casting just the finals of Taco. It's just like there was so much I wanted to say, there was so much Garrett wanted to say, and before you know it, that was 3 turns ago. Just like,
Yeah, when the
guys,
players are
slow
playing
down.
real quick.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was remarkable how quick Taco finals went last night. I was not expecting it because we've done 2 others and that's never been the case. We had time to sit around, laugh with Will Brode, and the time after that it was Dills and I were just hanging out having a good time. Man, yesterday they were out for blood.
Yep.
Well, I was thinking about this. Like, it would be probably a good idea to coach our Taco finalists to tell them, like, hey, take your time with your turns because we are casting. Like, these are players who probably aren't used to ever being in, a big finals of a tournament and having it be casted. So, yeah, like that sucks when you're casting.
Yeah.
I tried casting Heroes the other day for our patron thing by myself, but as well, and that was so challenging.
I hate solo
There's just
casting.
so much going on.
I hate solo casting anything. I hate it so freaking much. That's why I didn't want anyone to go watch my my So You Think You Can Cast video because I'm like, dude, like whatever. Like, thank you for the compliments, everyone, because people have been nice after I was like, no, don't go watch. It was so awkward. I'm so used to having somebody to play off of in every aspect of my life. That's part of the reason I started the Angry Nerd was to just.
I mean, that's why you
try
got
my
married.
hand
You
at-
just want to have someone to like.
Bounce
Play
ideas
off.
off.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's definitely not because I'm like madly in love with Katie or anything, and that she's just an all-around awesome person. It's really I don't want to die alone. Anyways, so spoilers ahead, by the way, for the Tespa Hearthstone Championship. If you were hoping to catch the VODs later this week, you might want to skip ahead 5 minutes. But congratulations, because Ohio State is now the 3rd Tespa Hearthstone Championship. The finals actually went to the 5th and final game, with Ohio State piloting their mage to victory, thanks in part to some questionable decisions on behalf of UC Santa Barbara. They left a Flamewaker alive when they could have killed it, and it just bit them in the butt.
Now, let me just say something about UC Santa Barbara, because anyone who's ever been to Isla Vista knows that UC Santa Barbara is well known for questionable decision making. When it comes to many things in life.
Are you gonna start shit talking one of the colleges?
I've
in the
been to
finals?
Isla Vista many times, and there is a reason that that people say, like, just don't go there and don't like it's known as like a huge party town, like where kids just go crazy every single night of the week. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
Okay then.
Sorry, Ivy. Sorry.
But hey, guys,
People who are from UC Santa Barbara are like, yep, he's right.
Yeah,
We
it's
are.
not necessarily a bad thing, or people don't take it poorly. I mean, my university was the same way. We were like the party school of Canada.
And they're like, wake her up. Woo! What could go wrong? Let's party.
Yeah, exactly.
we're gonna live forever. Oh, geez, that's well, that's lovely. Anyways, if nothing else, if you ever thought to yourself, I don't really get why it's that important to kill the Flamewaker, go watch the final game of these finals.
Here it was. Here was the reason.
Yeah, link in the show notes, by the way, to the VOD. Let's move on. I threw this in here because Ben Brode has been pretty chatty lately, especially in the realm of IGN and Twitter and whatnot. And we have a somewhat recurring segment on Into the Nexus called Browder Tweets. So I figured, since Ben Brode has been pretty chatty as of late, we should probably just throw him a bone and give him Brode Bellows as his semi-regular segment on the show, which means we're going to lead in with this. So this week, Ben Brode, and actually also our buddy Dean, the senior balance, or I think he's just balance designer. Sorry, Dean, I forget your official title. But they sat down with IGN and they talked about mostly just crafting the legendaries for League of Explorers, and there were some interesting takeaways. Like, for instance, apparently, at least Starseeker came out of what was originally just a spell called Treasure Map that would shuffle a clue into your deck, and that clue would lead you to Golden Monkey. And they said that they changed it to be at least Starseeker so that it would feel, quote-unquote, less crappy. When you didn't find the monkey, at least you got a minion out of the deal. Which, good to know.
And that makes sense. I mean, because that would really suck if you had to just spend mana on the off chance that you might get something. You already have to do that with the map that she gives you. So if it kind of went a map to a clue to the monkey, then you're spending mana twice on cards that don't really do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Other interesting things is that Archthief Rafam was apparently more like Mogre the Ogre, but with spells.
That sounds terrible.
I guess if he was on board, there was a 50% chance to hit a random different target with your spell.
But you just wouldn't cast your spell.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like a downside. How is that legend? Like unless you're like, oh man, I just really hope this goes past taunt, but it's a spell. Like you
So it always goes past
taunt. Yeah, I can't
But
think of a.
essentially, like you would with creatures, they're on the board. You at least still want to attack with them. So it creates this kind of interesting scenario where you decide, okay, well, is it worth it to attack or not? But with a spell, it's like, yeah, I just don't cast it. I wait until that's off the board and then I cast it.
They'd have to make him like same stats but like super cheap or something because of such a big downside.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't. I mean, if it were a card that prevented the other player from casting spells because of the chance that the spell is going to miss, then I could see that having some sort of upside. But we already have Trogzor, and that doesn't really do anything anyway. So, yeah, that sounds like bad design. I'm glad they changed it because the card that we have now is actually really cool. It could totally win you games and control matchups and stuff. So
Yeah.
sounds like they found the right answer. All of these sound like they did actually. Reading through them.
Yeah, absolutely. This one is the takeaway I was the most interested in. Apparently, there used to be a pair of genies in League of Explorers that had triggers similar to, well, the same as Reno Jackson. There was a 3-mana 3/3 genie, and it cost 1 mana if your deck contained no more than 1 copy of any card. And then there was also a 4-mana 4/4 genie that cost 2 if there was no more than 1 copy of a card in your deck. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, this I could see them going back to this, like having more cards that work like Reno Jackson.
Right. There's no reason to think that they wouldn't at some point include more cards that were specific, like they were specifically good in a Reno type deck.
Yeah, but I think the problem here is that Reno's pretty good already. So now let's say you also get to play a 3/3 with no drawback on turn 1, and you play Reno Jackson at some point. Like that might just be way too broken, where we just enter the world of Reno Jackson meta all the time, which I don't think is healthy at all. Like Reno should be a part of the meta, but not the crushing best meta deck out there, because it just takes away too many options, right? So I don't think you can make it this good in a world where Reno exists, but I think you can definitely do some more cool stuff with the Reno, just that type of mechanic.
Yeah, I'd like to see these type of cards that are maybe class specific, so that it encourages Reno decks in more classes.
Sure. Yeah, because right now you basically see Reno Lock, some Reno Paladin, a little bit of Reno Mage, but Reno Lock is Reno Lock for obvious reasons because Life Tap is just perfect for Reno, right?
I saw a surprising amount of Reno Warriors when I was in the teens last season.
Yeah, a lot of people were messing with that, but the problem ends up being a lot of times that you build so much armor that Reno doesn't really impact the game as much as you want him to, So people have kind of gone away from that, but there was a lot of experimentation with that. But I would like what you said, I would like to see maybe some specific versions that work in, things like Rogue and stuff to kind of make like a Reno Rogue viable.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to see more about this, we have links in the show notes to the full interview. I found it really interesting. I highly recommend you go check it out. We just hit some of the highlights here. And also, parting thought. Apparently there was a minion a few expansions ago in development that replaced everything in your hand and in your deck with Holy Light. What the hell, Team 5? That is the...
Thank you for not putting that in the game.
Yeah. Like, there's a certain... At some point, I feel like we should have a topic on the show where we get to kind of dig into it. Like, what is the break point on fun? Like at what point is it like just so stupid you can't even defend it by saying, "Oh, it's a fun card"? Like,
how is this even fun though? Like
that's
now
my point. That's the point I'm making. Like, what is where is the edge? Where's that line drawn? Because there are a lot of cards in Hearthstone that we defend under the flag of being a fun game. This definitely is over the line. But I'm curious, like, if we were to walk backwards, where would we say is the breaking point?
No, that's just basically you lose every game you ever play that card in. First of all, because even if you can heal yourself every turn with Holy Lights, eventually they just have a full board of stuff, and you have Holy Lights. What are you doing? I mean,
I do like. Well, crap. Well, it's targeted, right? So you could heal other minions, or
if you already had minions on the board, and then you could keep them on the board with Holy Lights.
Shadow Priest.
Yeah, but even then, Shadow Priest turn them all into Holy Lights and then just blast them in the face a whole bunch of time.
You have a bunch of 2 mana, 6 damage spells.
Yeah, but then like somebody just brawls or flame strikes or something or whatever. Like
right. No, but I'm saying there's a very bizarre way you could make this work for you. But yes that sounds like a terrible card.
Yeah.
So. Anyways, before we move into strategies, let's thank our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. You guys are to blame for the Angriest Chicken Open happening seasonally, which just doesn't roll off the tongue.
It's your fault.
It's your fault. It's absolutely your fault. So if you don't like it, stop being a patron. No, don't do that. Dude, that's the wrong thing to say. But big thanks to you guys. Lots of new content coming to you from the Angry Chicken. It's all because of our patrons. This episode, let's thank Greg M, Emmanuel T, Kai C. Never seen a name spelled that way. I apologize. Michael D and David F. Thank you guys very much for supporting the Angry Chicken. And now let's get into this week's. It's more of a discussion than a strategy, but let's just get right into it.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
So for today's strategy, as I just said, it's more of a discussion, really. We wanted to talk about the meta and why it doesn't really seem to be shifting. And we're not even talking about like right in the here and now. It's more looking at Hearthstone and how the meta has been over the entire length of its existence. Yeah,
essentially, the latest Tempo Storm snapshot came out, and anybody who hasn't seen it, you click on Tier 1, and what you find there is you find Mid-Range Druid, Secret Paladin, Zoolock, and Tempo Mage. And for anyone who's been playing Hearthstone for a long time, only one of these decks is really something that came in the last 6 months, right? So these are the top 4 decks of the current meta, and 3 of them have existed for a year and a half, even longer, right? Zoo has been around since almost the beginning of the game. Mid-range Druid has been around ever since someone figured out that, Force Roar is 14 damage, and plenty other creatures on board, it's a lot more. And Tempo Mage has been around ever since people figured out that, Mana Worm is a good card. I think actually Tempo Mage really kind of hit, even before Flame Waker was a thing, it really kind of hit when Mad Scientist was first released, which is Naxxramas. So that was the first time you saw something where I was like, oh, well, dude, we get secrets for this. We play this 2/2, we get a free secret, we copy their guy, and then we just keep crushing them with water elementals and stuff.
Yeah, and then Unstable Portal came out with GVG. Although
and also Pilot Shredder with GVD.
Yeah,
GVG too. So.
I would make the argument though that Tempo Mage, as we think of it, really became a thing with BlackRock.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Flame Waker was like where it boosted it to the top, but it was a deck before that. Like basically what I'm saying is that it wasn't top tier, but it had been around, right?
Right.
So we're talking like 2 years later, and we're still looking and we're still seeing basically the same decks, with some modifications. Obviously, like Zoolock now has Implosion, and Zoolock has Dr. Boom, which it didn't originally have, and Zoolock has
other Gang Boss.
Yeah, Imp Gang Boss. Other inclusions that weren't there. Dark Peddler now is in Zoo. But that doesn't mean that Zoo isn't still doing what Zoo was always doing, right? Which is putting a bunch of creatures on the board and then buffing them to be able to trade up with them to control the board, and then eventually just kind of knock your health total down with just minion damage, right?
Yeah, basically what we're talking about here is a term we throw around all the time. It's the archetype. The archetype really hasn't changed because it still exists and it still behaves exactly the same way. Whereas something like Patron Warrior is completely different now after that nerf. One of the things that always gets brought up, because we talk about Patron Warrior dying after the Warsong nerf, inevitably we get a ton of emails and tweets from people saying, no, Patron Warrior is still a thing, it's still a top tier deck, what are you talking about? And our response is always, no, it's not the same deck. It's completely different.
Its win condition is completely different. So the deck, by definition, has to change, right? It doesn't charge your face with a whole bunch of patrons anymore and some frothing berserkers. It now has to win by just putting a bunch of stuff on the board, having it kind of stick, and then overwhelming you with just creatures you can't get rid of. But
Exactly.
So it's more of a mid-range deck now, you could say, rather than a combo deck. But yeah, so it's an interesting time when you think about how many cards have come out, how much the game has changed, and how much the game has just kind of stayed the same throughout all of that. So I guess, first of all, I guess want to know what you guys think. Is this a problem? Is this even a problem? Is this bad? Is it fine? What do you guys think?
I think it'd be really interesting to take a look at, any one of these decks, really. I think probably Druid is the only one that hasn't changed very much since it kind of first became a thing. Like Combo Druid, when it first came out, the deck looks very similar. But like you were talking about Zoo, Implosion, Imp Gang Boss, Dark Peddler, it would be really interesting to see, like, percentage-wise, how many of the cards in Zoo are still actually the same as they were when Zoo first became a deck. Because I think it's had a lot of substitutions, and although the archetype is still the same, I think that there's, a lot of different card interactions now that weren't a possibility before. Like you used to have two of Direwolf and Dark Iron Dwarf and the Cleric, for instance. They're no longer really, they're either one-ofs or they're not in the deck at all. So I think there's been enough changes that even though technically it's still a Warlock with a Zoo style, the deck itself isn't the same. So I don't really know if it is so much a problem. It's just like giving more tools to existing archetypes.
But do we think that we want to see new archetypes rise to the top when we see new cards? Or do we just want to improve on existing archetypes? Because I would argue that I'd like to see new decks become stronger rather than just make existing decks stronger. Because, yes, they do have new tools, but essentially they're doing the same thing, right? So rather than play a 1-mana 0/4 that has Taunt that you buff later, which was in the original version of this deck, now you just play on one. You always are trying to get like Void Walkers, Flame Imps, stuff like that to buff. So you're still trying to kind of get that same body, like a Void Walker on turn one kind of does the same thing that Shield Bearer did in the original version. It's just now we have better options for Shield Bearer, right? So we just don't use Shield Bearer anymore. And is that like really the deck changing, or is that just, okay, I plug in some cards? Does that make it not a problem just because we've changed a few cards?
Well, I guess I'm trying to think of what the newest archetype would probably be, and that would probably be the Reno decks. And I think
Reno Warlock is the newest thing that actually impacts the top of the meta,
new.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like we'll probably see things, I guess, Dragon decks would probably be another one, like Dragon Priest. We'll probably see more and more tools as we get more and more collections released, because that's essentially what's happened to Mage and Druid and Warlock with these three decks, is that they've been around so long, they've been made progressively stronger just because they've existed for so long. We've only had Reno for a month and a half, so we're probably going to see in the next expansion adventure more cards that take advantage of the way Reno works or pair well with him or whatever. And Reno will probably become a stronger archetype. Same as dragons. The more releases we get that have dragon minions, the stronger the dragon archetype gets. So I think,
though, that dragons are now all tier 3 decks. Like they moved up and then they dropped back down, being replaced by older decks that people were just like, oh, actually these were just better. And they just went back to them, right? So I think Dragon Priest is now considered tier 3. Dragon, I don't even think there's any other dragon decks out there. Dragon Warrior? No, not even on the list at all.
Dragon Hunter. Come on.
Oh, sorry. Dragon Hunter tier 0.
Yeah.
Above all of them.
Yeah. I mean,
it's so good that no one understands how it works. So
I think
0.
I think there's also a discussion to be had here. How much weight do you place on the tier rating?
Yeah, definitely. But I think a lot of people place a lot of, when you see this come out, the meta does shift to this. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I definitely noticed. Once this list comes out, a lot of this stuff becomes very commonplace on the ladder, right?
Right. Although at the moment I would argue they wouldn't really notice a change because the top 4 has been the same top 4 for a while. They've traded spaces a little bit, but It's been the same top 4 for pretty much since League of Explorers kind of the dust settled from it.
Yeah. I guess what worries me though is that like Reno Lock makes it into tier 1. Dragon Priest makes it into tier 1. And then what you see after is a slow decline where they just drop and drop and drop and drop until what we have is those old school decks again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so it's like people are trying them out. People haven't figured out how to play against them yet. And then slowly when people do figure out how to play against them and realize, oh, well, mid-range Druid still just craps all over these decks, then they just kind of fade it back into obscurity, and we're kind of left with the same meta we had before, which is I've heard a lot of pros kind of complaining, like, super excited when League of Explorers came out. Now, 2 months later, not that excited about it anymore. Maybe it's been solved. We figured out which of the cards were good, and it's not that many, and we're kind of back where we started. So it's, but again, I don't know. Is that a problem or not? I don't.
I think for me, like, this is part of the challenge of designing Hearthstone as a whole. I mean, this is a big conversation to tackle. If Hearthstone is going to stay the course and be what it currently is and what it was advertised as, which is a game where you know, if you get cards, whether you purchase them with real money or you unlock them with gold, they're your cards. They're not going to be taken away from you. You can keep using them. Because to see the type of change that I think you want, Dills, you're going to have the system more akin to Magic, where we're having chunks of cards drop off and new cards enter. Which I'm not saying is a bad thing. It's definitely something I personally would be really interested in.
Yeah, yeah. But again, though, in Magic, and I think the way it would kind of work in Hearthstone is not that the cards are taken away from you; they just shift into different formats, right? So,
right.
You have, yes, if you want to play like the current standard, whatever, then cards are kind of taken away. But I think a lot of players in Magic, they don't consider standard to be like the end all be all of Magic play. Modern is very popular, sealed is very popular, and stuff like that, and those have nothing really to do with it. Modern basically is playing, like, you'd be playing all the cards if you were playing something akin to Modern, and you'd still have that. But then you'd also have these other options where the meta would be constantly shifting, and just having options, I think, is a good thing in my opinion. I totally agree. I don't represent the majority of the player base. I don't know what percentage of the player base my opinion represents. And so I'm not trying to argue that this is definitely what they should do. I'm just like kind of posing the question, like, when we look at this meta snapshot, does this worry anybody? Because, you think about a game like Magic has existed for 20 years and has actually increased in popularity. If Hearthstone 20 years from now has Zulok still at the top of the meta, will the game increase in popularity, or like will that be a negative on the game?
I mean, I definitely find the idea of Zulok still being basically the same in 20 years.
It's an extreme example.
Incredibly unlikely.
Yes, it's an extreme example.
Let's say they never ever addressed the issue, never had more formats, and all we ever have is ranked as it currently stands 20 years from now. There will just be so many cards introduced that it is inevitable that that Zulok will change. But no, that's me riffing on your extreme example. No, I absolutely get where you're coming from. And I guess for me, I'm not personally, I don't see this as a bad thing. But again, that's why I come back around to my first retort to you, which was, it depends, I think, on how much weight you put on these type of reports, how much you really care what is considered tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, because I still, anecdotal experience, but that's the point of having the three of us on the show, is to bring our experiences into it. I still am seeing a very large variety of decks that I am encountering in my ladder play. I'm still not 100% sure of the deck that I am facing when I see a certain class show up. And I'm the least bored I have been in Hearthstone in a very long time.
No, I agree with all those points. I'm not saying that I find Hearthstone boring. Like, I want to make sure that people don't think that I'm like crapping on Hearthstone right now. But I'm just noticing the trend that decks come in, decks go out, and then the old guard comes back in.
No,
and so when we get a new set of cards, the same type of cycle will likely occur, because now this is the cycle we've seen a bunch of times in a row.
Yeah. Also, sorry, Jocelyn, go ahead.
That's okay. I was just going to say, I feel like the other thing that these three, and actually possibly you could even put Secret Paladin in this group as well. These three decks, the thing that they have in common is basically Blizzard hasn't touched them. We've had other really powerful tier 1 decks that Blizzard has then subsequently nerfed because they don't tend to like big combo decks. So, I mean, if they were still around, I think we would probably still see Miracle Rogue, Miracle Rogue, Undertaker Hunter, and Patron Warrior would still be tier 1, but they're
And
not
Undertaker
here.
Priest would still be there
Yeah,
too. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And
Yeah, but those are all, they were kind of had cards that ended up being totally nerfed by Blizzard, and now you don't see them anymore. So I think there's been a little bit of intervention by Blizzard to give us this kind of tempo buffy, keep minions on the board meta. And so I don't necessarily know if it's something that's a problem with card releases, or maybe it's just card nerfs. If you want something where, like a meta where there's a whole bunch of different powerful decks, maybe don't get mad at Blizzard when there's big OTK combo decks.
Well, yeah, I think the key is OTK combo decks need to be within the power like range, right? They can't be so far above, and that's what the problem with Patron was. It wasn't that, Patron itself is like totally some broken thing. It's that when you could do 75 damage in a turn with nothing on the board, that's too far above the range of power that like any class should be able to have, right? And the same thing for decks that are too weak that should technically maybe be strong is if they're so weak and Blizzard is giving tools, like let's talk about Taunt Warrior for a second. They really want that to exist, don't they? But it is so damn weak. So if they want it to exist, they have to like buff other things. So like I guess from my perfect world,
maybe.
Yeah, bolster it, bolster, guys. But if you if you want like a super interactive meta where everything is somewhat viable, I really do believe have to do periodic slight nerfs and buffs and not these drastic, just slice the
Wipe
deck
them off
and
the
kill
map.
it and whatever. Yeah, like, but that's not what Blizzard says they're gonna do. So that's kind of off the table. I'm not really an advocate for it because I understand it's not really going to happen. It just is what it is.
Yeah, for me, I think at some point we're going to have more formats introduced.
Yeah, at some point,
and we're going to have
and they've
certain
addressed
cards,
that. They
certain
said
cards
that.
drop off.
They realize it,
right? And then we're gonna see more drastic shifts in the meta.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think overall, looking at Hearthstone as like at face value, taking it in as what it currently is, I'm okay where things are. I mean, even looking at the Tempo Storm meta report, yeah, mid-range Druid and Zulak are two mainstays that have been there forever. Tempo Mage, been around for a while, not so bad. Secret Paladin, fairly new deck, but also
it is just a mid-range Paladin with one awesome card, right? Basically.
One awesome card, yeah, but also a lot of other slots taken up by cards that would be crap without that one awesome card.
True, but if you think about what Secret Paladin does, it does what mid-range Paladin does, right? Which is play strong minion each turn, use it to trade in a efficient manner. That's
right.
It does kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, me personally, I'm kind of done with Secret Paladin. I'm annoyed by it, not because I'm like sick of losing to it. It's fine. I don't care. I like playing against it. I know how to shift my brain when I find out it's a Secret Paladin. For me personally, it's because I love Paladin, and mid-range Paladin was my favorite deck, and it's just straight up better to play Secret Paladin, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
But
I think what's annoying is just the
whole
prevalence of it. It's like anything else. That when it's all you face, or when it feels like it's all you face, because it isn't all you face, but a lot of times it feels like it is. That's what makes players frustrated, I think.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, it's Face Shaman. If I see a Face Shaman, I actually want to physically harm you.
Yeah.
But
I'm totally okay with them too, because they just run out of steam. I guess that's also because I play a lot of Reno decks. So I'm just like,
do.
Sweet. What's
Yeah.
up? Burn my face, dude. Reno.
I'm not saying I lose to them all the time, but it's just like when you do lose, I want to kill you.
I think though for me, Druid is the card or the class that I just hate playing it. Every time I see Druid, I'm just like, so I know what's gonna happen. They're gonna play minions. I'm gonna spend the entire game clearing them and being worried about my health total, and I'm never gonna be I'm always gonna be on the back foot because that combo exists, and the differences might be this guy runs 2 Azure Drakes and this guy runs one Azure Drake, and like that's kind of like what you see as far as variance within the Druid class right now. I think that's why I just get so damn annoyed with Druid. It's just so good, and it will be good forever. People won't ever play. We talked about this on the show the other time, but it's kind of trapped in this place where it's just this combination is too good. This combination of two guards is way too good to ever not build your deck around it. So, well, I guess my last question to you guys, because we kind of covered the other two, is do you think Blizzard wants this? Like, I know we don't know, but if you were to just put on your Blizzard hat and say, like, are you happy when you look at the tier, the meta report, and you see Combo Druid at tier 1, like, still for the 40th month running? Like, how does that feel with your Blizzard, do you think?
I don't know. I don't think that they necessarily want this, because I find at least anytime you ever see Blizzard employees talking about Hearthstone, talking about playing Hearthstone, they're always like, what is the least popular class right now? How do we promote it? How do we make it better? Like, they really seem like they want to, like, everyone to kind of realize that you can play strong decks in each different class, and there's different ways to make things work, and kind of always being like, well, this is what we had in mind when we released card X. Like, did you guys think of doing it this way? And so I think that they probably want to see a little bit of a different meta, and all 9 classes represented equally, and I think that's what they're aiming for.
Fair enough. That's a good answer. I mean, and even I know we've been drawing a lot of analogies to Magic today, and I'm sure that'll drive some people crazy. But like, look at Magic.
I don't care if it does.
When you
Screw those people.
When you go to, I guess you haven't played a lot of sealed dills, but when you a lot of times when I go to my local sealed tournaments, you have to declare your colors before you join the tournament. And that's.
Are you saying you're talking about the pre-releases though?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but it's a sealed event, because it's not a draft, because draft would still be technically like.
Draft, you kind of make it up as you go.
Limited.
But there are,
right.
like, I was doing sealed events this week where you just get packs and you just build out of whatever you get in the packs, right? There's There's no pre-pack that you get that's based on colors you want.
Yeah, I'm talking about pre-releases, and a lot of times there are like limited Grand Prix and stuff like that that run sealed events. And you have to declare a color, you have to register for certain mana colors before you even start the tournament. And to me, I draw a similarity with that and popular classes in Hearthstone, because right now we look at it and we'll probably say, I almost never see a rogue. Period. I don't see a lot of rogues. I don't see a lot of priests. But I'm not sure that's necessarily a bad thing. Because I think if we want to see a lot more rogues, they're probably just going to have to get an archetype that is a little simpler to pilot, because they have traditionally been one of the hardest classes to play in Hearthstone.
Yeah, I think rogue popularity doesn't really have to do with them not being powerful, because I know every time, every time I queue into rogue, I'm like, damn it, now there's just going to be roguey things happening, and I'm just going to lose because rogue things.
Right. And
I think it's just the players who play rogue are really, really good at rogue, but for most players, it's not that accessible. It's very, very difficult.
They try it, they lose a lot, and then they just try it again.
Exactly. That's definitely the experience I have. I'm not big on rogue for that reason. And the analogy I'm pulling to Magic is that when I go to my local sealed pre-releases, I don't see a lot of blue players. But the blue players I do see are having a damn good time.
Yeah, they're crushing everybody. Yeah. I think those are all fair points. I do think though that like the power level is not necessarily the key here. The accessibility of the classes is very much a big part of this. And when you talk about what Druid does something that a lot of people can wrap their head around, which is play minions, trade, and then finish you off with this big damage combo. And Secret Paladin, very easy to wrap your head around. The problem, I guess, though, is that like if that's the case, do we need to then like dumb down the other classes to make things more interesting, or do we I don't think that's the answer either. And every time, Jocelyn, you brought up a really good point. When you talk to Blizzard employees, they're always like, "Oh, but have you played my Explorer's Hat Death Rattle deck? Like, it's amazing." And you're just like, "All right, cool. I'm glad you got that to work." They always seem to have some weird, crazy idea, and it's like it blows their mind that not everyone's getting this. But I think they want a varied, interesting, always constantly shifting meta. They just want the player base to kind of make that happen. I just don't think that that's a realistic goal. The player base is going to figure out something, and then they're just going to do it. And that's kind of how it works in every game, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened in Heroes. That's what happened in, it happens in World of Warcraft all the time when you talk about arena metas and stuff. Like
if you want to keep it in the Blizzard family, there's plenty of analogies to be drawn.
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time in Heroes of the Storm. Like what I was saying, things that might not have the best win rate, they may just not be as popular because although there you can get better stats from things
think
like
about like the
Hot Slogs.
Vikings, right?
Yeah.
If you look at like the Vikings on Hot Slogs, sometimes they have huge win rates, but there's like 5 guys playing the Vikings,
Right.
And they're all just really good at it.
They are frequently the highest win rate with the least games played.
Yeah.
And it's just because they're hard as all get out to play, but the people that do play them, they love them and they're incredibly good with them.
Yeah. So, I don't know what the exact answer is. I just thought it was an interesting thing to kind of bring up, and there's not a lot of new decks to talk about in our strategy section, so we might get a little more conversational in this section until new cards come out for a while.
Also,
and just kind of talk about concepts and things.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll
deck
do another.
doctoring is always a fun one too.
We'll probably do a deck doctor. We'll probably do another arena segment. We'll probably also build a deck in the future.
I love building a deck. I've got to say that's probably my favorite of all of the different strategy types that we've
It's
done.
pretty fun.
Agreed.
Although I'll tell you this, it was incredibly frustrating to listen to you guys do it without me there because I wanted to say so many things.
Yeah.
See, we were going for
I had such
fun.
to say. I know.
We weren't going.
I wasn't
for,
upset with the deck you guys ended up with. I just had so many things I wanted to say while it was happening. Like, damn it, I want to say something about this card. But yeah, no, we'll be doing a lot of interesting stuff like that. I think during this segment because right now we're in an interesting time where League of Explorers was an amazing adventure. It had an awesome impact for a while, and now that impact is waning, right? I think we're getting, I agree we're getting close, but I still think we're at least a month away from any new cards coming out, probably more. And so things, if they continue down this path, man, we're gonna get Face Hunter back at the top, or it's just, is it gonna get more frustrating? I don't know. We'll see.
If that happens, you will see me complaining. But
And by the way, people who do get upset about us comparing to Magic, we do that because this game doesn't exist in a vacuum. This game exists in a world where Magic also exists. And if you're talking about card games and you just throw out Magic as something that you would ever compare it to, you're just doing yourself a disservice to actually have a conversation that's informed, right? It doesn't mean you have to play Magic. It doesn't mean you have to like Magic. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means when you're talking about card games, why wouldn't you talk about the dominating force in card games for the last 20 years as somewhat of a barometer and a measuring stick? That just doesn't make any sense to me. So, I've embraced Magic. You don't have to. I don't want Hearthstone to be like Magic because I want 2 different things I can do. And I want them to be the same thing. But anyway, just want to throw that out there because I know we're about to get emails. I know it's coming.
just let it wash over you, Dills. Just let it.
Yeah.
wash
Oh, yeah,
over
I
you.
will.
Let it happen.
I'm going to nip it in the bud
As
right
the
now.
guy that
Send your
usually-
emails. I'm going to read them. I'm going to go, hey, man, I don't give a crap. There's a reason why we talk about
As the
Magic.
guy who usually doesn't let things wash over him, just let it wash over you. Be the rock in the stream. Be the rock in the stream. Before we move on to crazy game stories, let's thank Squarespace.com for sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. You can use the code TAC right now over at Squarespace.com to get 10% off your first order and build yourself a beautiful website. Would you like to start a blog and talk about your thoughts on why the meta is not shifting in broad strokes, or maybe not so broad strokes? Maybe you want to get really granular with your ideas. Maybe you don't have a podcast that you try futilely to keep to 90 minutes every week. And you want to write a book in blog format. You can do so at squarespace.com, and you don't even need to know code. So check them out. We thank them for their support.
Yeah. You know what would be great use of Squarespace is
No, Dills,
make a
please
whole
tell me.
website about why Dills needs to shut up about Magic and stick to the subject, damn it.
Oh my God,
You
please.
can just go on and on and on about it. It would be great.
Please, I'm
I would
serious.
Just
totally
save
check
me
out that
reading the
website.
emails. Yeah, I would. Website would be so much more convenient.
Also, I'm serious. I want to see someone make this. Someone please go make a Squarespace page, shutupdills.com. That'd be great. I want to see
Yeah,
this.
Dills shut up about magic.com. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. I would enjoy that.
No more magic dills.
Just at checkout, please use the code TAC.
Oh, wait, one more piece of magic, though. I opened this card.
I can't
in a
read it.
pack. I know you can't, but it's worth $270.
Wow.
Wow. Sell it.
Pulled it out of a random pack.
Sell it right now.
Well, it's actually supposedly going to go up, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm probably just going to trade it for cards I don't have.
You know what I have sitting around that I was told was going to go up?
What?
Beanie Babies.
Well, are they like two Beanie Babies for one, or are they like 3-5 Beanie Babies for 4? Because those would probably go up.
Between Katie and I, we've got some pretty rare ones, and they ain't worth jack
Really?
anymore. Oh yeah,
They're not worth anything anymore. Oh man,
they're not
I
worth
can't believe
squat.
that. I can't believe that fade didn't last, or that phase didn't last. Oh
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Well, who knows? Anyway, let's take a crazy game story.
The whole world gone crazy.
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our story today comes to us from Sam, and he writes, "Greetings, featherless fowl, but chickens have feathers."
But we don't.
Oh, okay. Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay. I get it. Nice.
Well done. Well
Yeah,
played.
Sam says, I was playing against a rogue on ladder using my new Golden Monkey Rhino Mage deck. I played a mad scientist on turn 1, and by turn 3, it death rattled a duplicate.
Sure.
I played Elise Starseeker on turn 4, not really thinking about duplicating her, but simply trying to get my glorious monkey out as soon as possible. By that time, I realized I was playing against a fatigue rogue, and once he removed my Elise, giving me 2 more in my hand, I learned quickly how effective of a counter she can be against fatigue rogue, but mostly just fun. I played another Elise on turn 5, and he sapped it back into my hand. Eventually, I got another one out, which he vanished back into my hand. He double Cold Light Oracled, and I discarded 2 maps. But I knew more were on their way. By the end of the game, I had played 6 Elise Starseekers because of his combination of 2 saps, 1 vanished, my duplicate, and my original Elise. The rogue kept the game going for quite a while, probably just allowing me to have my fun as I kept drawing for my maps, then monkey, until I finally played it. Although the deck isn't very consistent, it sure is fun to play around rank 14, where you still see a variety of fun decks among the competitive ones. Keep clucking. Oh my god,
Nice.
that sounds
That's
like
awesome.
a blast. I wish I could play that game that you just played.
That's the cool thing about Elise is that the moment you play her, she creates that card. So sapping her is not the answer.
No.
That is not how you
No,
deal with
you,
Elise.
you need to fatigue. Yeah. I'm gonna sap a card back in that puts cards into your deck that give you more cards. When my goal is for you to have the least amount of cards possible left in your deck.
Yeah. Fatigue, like this is somebody who doesn't understand the concept of fatigue rogue,
Yeah.
I think.
Blizzard,
yeah.
please, for like the next adventure, make one of the the class challenges this, because I just want a simulator where I can go in and have this type of fun on command.
That would be awesome.
That would be great.
This is still like a goal of mine, and I haven't been able to quite get it to work, is to make a deck that just creates a lot of cards. Like, so it doesn't necessarily like draw a bunch, but it starts with 30 cards, and by the time the end of the game happens, you've got like 40 or 50 cards in your deck, right? Because you just constantly be creating cards rather than, so Elise is perfect for this. It creates a card, goes in your deck, and then it draws into other cards, and those create more cards. Like, so it's perfect. It's awesome. Things like the Fairy and that kind of stuff.
I'd love to see
Burgle.
that too.
Yeah.
Burgle. Go
Yes,
Burgle. Long live
Burgle.
Burgle. Well, here you go, man. You make a rogue deck. You throw Elise in there. You throw Nefarian. You throw Burgle. As I try not to burp into the microphone. It's a good time. I mean, as I'm saying
Burgle
Burple.
Yeah.
Not trying to burple. Great.
But the problem is there's so many classes that have like a few of these tools, and I wish that I had like more of them, right? So like I don't get to put in duplicate into the rogue deck if I do that, so it's just tough. But although Burgle could burgle a duplicate, it could happen. I did actually create on stream and played it, and actually didn't do too bad. I tried to make a Mysterious Challenger Mage deck where you play like a ton of secrets, and then you play Unstable Portal. You play the 6-mana 5/5 that gives you a Paladin card. What's it called? Something Crusader, Grand Crusader. You play Grand Crusaders. You play Copy a Dude. You play Copy a Dude. So when you play against the Secret Paladin and they play Mysterious Challenger, you faceless manip it, and then you panda it back in your hand, and then you play it on the next turn. So it's like all these different ways to try to make a Mysterious Challenger for Mage. And basically, I got this idea because I saw Day 9 play against a mage who played a friggin' Mysterious Challenger because Grand Crusadered it. And it was awesome. So, but I actually just won a lot because it just kind of won. Like, it just kind of was annoying as crap to people because he played a lot of secrets and stuff. So, interesting deck. I'll have to share the list with you guys.
Oh yeah, no, that sounds like something I totally want to
You
try.
definitely want to play this, Jocelyn.
I love mage. I love paladin. I feel like secret paladin mage would just be amazing.
I never got the dream once, but I'm not done trying. I'm gonna keep trying.
I just love Day 9, so sign me up.
All right.
Let's take some emails.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh,
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to the same place, tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first one today comes to us from Squee, is how I'm going to choose to pronounce that one. Squee says, "Hey gang, just wanted to throw a tiny contribution at this secret discussion from episode 132. The only point where I disagree with your opinions regarding secret tempo is that the priest, druid, shaman, warrior, and warlock classes have absolutely no way to play during their opponent's turn, whereas the classes with secrets do. What would be nice, or would at least be worth looking into, is some method for providing the same mechanic to help even things out. Okay, that's all. Keep up the great work. Love the show." Squee man, I love you, but I completely disagree with you. Secrets just aren't that powerful. It's not that big of a deal. It's not real. I mean, technically it's playing on your opponent's turn, but not really. You don't get to make that informed of a decision. You put a secret up and you hope that they don't play around it in the best possible way, which in 9 times out of 10, they're going to, because secrets are a thing and we know how to play around them.
Yeah. No, that's how, like, I think there's a lot of people writing in about this that somehow have this misinterpretation of secrets as being some crazy OP thing, and that just has been proven not to be true.
Yeah, if it was like, hey everyone, if it was like Magic, and you actually got to decide where
I feel like you're just trolling the listeners now.
It's time to troll them.
Maybe. But no, in all seriousness, if it was more like Magic and you get to actually like, no, it's my turn to declare what I do when you're doing stuff and I get to direct where things go, it would be, and certain classes could do that and certain classes couldn't. Yes, I would absolutely agree with you. That would be broken as all get out. But since you have to just hope, in most scenarios that your opponent makes the worst decision possible to get the most value for your spell, I think secrets are totally fine. And again, I don't think any of us were saying that we don't want to see secrets for all classes, just that it wasn't necessary for all classes to have secrets.
Yeah, it's fine. Also, like, the fact that Mad Scientist has existed for this long and not completely broken the game, and Mage isn't just the top class of all classes because of that single card, just shows you that, secrets aren't some... I know they're annoying. A lot of people are like, it's just annoying. I have to just think about this and play around it, and it's just, I don't want to do that. They're not OP. They just aren't. They're all costed pretty well for what they do, and it's fine. Just do your best to deal with them and learn about how to play around them, and you'll find that Mage plays, Mirror Entity, and then you play a super weak minion into it, and it sucks for them. They paid 3 mana for something that costs 1 or 2, right? And it's fine.
I think it's just because people feel like secrets are so powerful right now because Freeze and Tempo Mage are really powerful decks. Secret Paladin is really, really powerful. So I feel like it's just a feeling that people have, that they're just like, I wish I had secrets so I could just at least annoy them or keep up with them or whatever. But you guys are both right. Like, they're not overpowered for what they do.
Yeah, it's a feels bad man situation for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Majority of those secrets in Secret Paladin would be unplayable without Mysterious Challenger.
Yeah, only Avenge and Get Down would be even remotely close, and maybe Eye for an Eye.
Yeah, you
Thank you, Dills.
You made a good point with Mad Scientist. There's a reason we didn't see Mad Scientist ever in Paladin. It took something as ridiculous as Mysterious Challenger to make Paladin secrets playable. So, Dills, next email?
Tony says, I keep getting into situations in the arena where my opponent puts a Blessing of Wisdom on my minion. At what point should I not attack? When should I be okay attacking with this minion? I've had it happen early and late game. When do I decide it's okay to keep attacking regardless of the opponent getting a card draw out of it? Well, you need to assess this, Tony, every single time because it changes.
Yep.
basically I will not attack with it unless I'm getting value that I think is okay, is like equal to a card for them, right? So let's say a lot of times the way they use it is they put it on like a big minion, right? So they'll put it on a Boulder Fist Ogre or something like that. Now, if I'm pushing their life total down and I can pressure them with an extra 6 damage, then I think it's worth giving them a card to do 6 more damage to their face. If they put it on, say, like the worst thing I've ever seen is when they put it on like, like a Scarlet Crusader or something like that with its bubble still. And you're like, damn it, like I'll never get rid of this stupid thing. But let's say I can kill a creature on their board that's a threat to me. It's worth, I think, giving them a random card out of their deck to get a creature off the board that's a tempo gain. It's a value play that they're doing there. They're going to take away one of your minions in exchange for them being able to draw cards and things like that. So it's definitely a good play to make when you're playing Paladin, when there's a card that you can't otherwise deal with, because you force the opponent to make a decision like this, and even if they do attack, you still get something out of it. But you can definitely make a correct decision based on the state of the board, the state of the game, say the health totals about when to attack. It's just not going to be the same every time. I wish I could give you like a hard and fast rule, like if it's 5 or more damage, attack. If it's 4 or less, do not. Like it just doesn't work that way. So.
What Dill said.
Still, I was going to say, it's a really good rule of thumb, though, to kind of just to weigh the balance of that card draw and think about what potentially that could do to you versus, what you're getting out of it, and just trying to make sure that you're always the one who's profiting, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's a huge point to make is are you getting the advantage based on what you're doing with it? So, like, let's say you've got them down to no cards in hand. Is it worth it to attack for some damage and give them a card when you can kind of like keep choking them and keep them down while not giving them a card? Yeah, like that's probably worth more there.
Yeah.
If they have 8 cards in hand, giving them 1 more is probably not that big of a deal. So it might be worth it more to get the damage in or get the tempo play. So
yeah, a lot of times for me, it's like, can I kill the minion that has this on it, and also kill one of their minions? Let's do it.
Yeah, that's usually worth it.
Yeah, or if I'm playing not necessarily if I'm playing the aggro deck, but just if I am the beatdown, if I know I am the one racing them to the finish, and this is going to help me just burn them down faster, and that's my only point, that I'm not going to win if I don't do that, then I start swinging away.
Yep.
Sorry,
But yeah,
I have to say this because Goat in the chat room made me actually laugh out loud there. He says, if they put Blessing of Wisdom on your minion, fireball that minion to assert dominance.
Yeah, two for one yourself. Definitely do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
Went to the
Actually, you know what? If you really want to assert dominance, fireball your face and then attack them with that minion. Give them a card.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
Say, I don't
already
even care, dude.
If you're already subscribing to the Caesar Dog Whisperer school of Hearthstone, then just get real alpha. Get real alpha. So,
oh man,
wonderful. That's Tony. Thank you. That's actually a good question.
I don't think we've ever talked about this.
I don't think we have either.
No.
Yeah,
it's good. It's very
Great
good. Jocelyn.
Last email comes to us from Alan. Says, "Hey Tech Crew, about a month ago I finally upgraded to a new iPhone, and the first thing I did was download Hearthstone. At first I thought it was great, and I love being able to play Hearthstone anywhere. However, I soon realized that I actually hate having it on my phone. I found myself constantly waiting to play it in situations where normally I would not have, such as over lunch break at work, in the bathroom, no shame, or really any time. I was trying to squeeze in games where I probably didn't have the time just because I could. Because I could play anywhere, I found myself doing things I enjoy less because all I wanted to do was play Hearthstone. In the end, I deleted Hearthstone and now slowly returning to my old ways of playing on my computer or iPad. Just wondering if others have felt this way and thought it might be a nice discussion topic on the show. Thanks so much." So basically, kind of saying having access to Hearthstone everywhere, is it making you do things that you wouldn't otherwise necessarily do? I find for me, having Hearthstone everywhere, I tend to be a lot less social. Because, I mean, it's like staring at your phone to the next level. It's like, oh, well, I think I'm going to have about 15 minutes here. I'll just play a quick game of Hearthstone. And then it's like, my friends come back after 5 minutes. And I'm like, no, guys, can't talk to you right now because Hearthstone reasons. And, like, you can get yourself in those situations where you're caught up in Hearthstone and you should be doing other things. And those 5 to 10 minutes of other things can really start to add up. What do you guys think?
I hate playing it on my phone, so no, I don't have this problem at all. I don't like playing it on my phone.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't hate playing it on my phone, but I definitely know that my win rate is lower on my phone. So.
Hate is a strong word. I strongly dislike playing it on my
Yeah.
phone.
What I did though is I just logged into my EU account on my phone, and if I ever do play Hearthstone on my phone, it's generally at like rank 20 in the middle of the season because that's where my EU account generally is. Or if I'm bored or I'm at like somewhere I know I'm just gonna be sitting around doing nothing for a while, it'll be something like I'll do Arena or Tavern Brawl on my phone, just something much more like kind of casual feeling. I'm never like trying to ladder on my phone ever.
I will tell you the one scenario, the one very specific scenario that I'm incredibly happy to have Hearthstone on my phone for. And that's when I'm at the mall with Katie, and Victoria's Secret is having a sale.
Yeah,
You know, you've
find
got a
that nice
good
comfy
2 or
chair.
3 games in there.
Yes,
No problem.
Yes.
Find that nice comfy chair like near some random mirror
Yep.
that no one uses, and you sit there and play Hearthstone.
Because most of the time, like, this is not me being like, oh, women, all they like to do is shop. Usually, man, I love shopping. I get so excited going to the mall. I love getting new clothes. I love getting new shoes. I have more shoes than any straight man should. But yeah, there's just, certain stores that I don't need to be in for extended periods of time, and Victoria's Secret is one of them. So thank you, Hearthstone on my phone. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, those times it's perfect. It is, to me, I think, the funnest iOS game that there is out there. So I choose it over other things almost every time if I am going to sit there and play on my phone.
However, thanks to you, Dills, I now have Magic the Gathering duels.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Duel's pretty
wonderful.
good.
It's
pretty
wonderful.
good. Yeah.
It's actual Magic on my phone, and it doesn't suck. Like, that's all I ever wanted. That's
It's just,
all
you know
I ever wanted.
what does suck about it, though? It takes way too long to build up your collection.
Oh, absolutely.
Way too
As a
long.
free-to-play game, it's awful. It is just terrible. Hearthstone, you were just so. After we spent all episode long talking about how Hearthstone could benefit from being a little more like Magic. Magic, holy crap, could you benefit from being a lot more like Hearthstone?
Oh, hell yeah. No, that's the thing. Like, everyone can learn from everyone. At no time do I think that Hearthstone needs to be more like Magic in a lot of ways, but like Magic could definitely learn from what Hearthstone has done. And they are, I think. Like, things like
absolutely.
daily quests exist on that,
Yeah,
and that's, I'm sure, coming from the success of that in Hearthstone.
While Duels is clearly, I think, not as good as Hearthstone, it's a huge step towards it.
Yes.
Because I used, playing the old Duels of the Planeswalkers on like Steam, like those games just weren't that great.
No. It was just too frustrating to do everything. They're going to be improving it over time. So, it gives me hope for the future of playing Magic, not, with paper.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, because, yes, MTGO is a 1-to-1 experience with paper Magic, but, ooh, is it janky?
Yeah. It's not even, though. Like, remember, Jocelyn, we were trying to play with that one deck, and we couldn't even figure out how to move counters from one card to another.
The token
we were like,
counter thing. Oh my
there
God.
has to be a way. And you right-click it, and there isn't a way.
There's a way. I don't know how it is, but there's definitely a way.
No, there is a way. It's just
The
not
point
obvious.
is-
Yeah, we ended up like just stopping that game because
Yeah,
we
we just
couldn't figure
gave
it
up.
out. Yeah, like
Like, nope, that's it. We're not playing this anymore.
yeah.
And that is not the experience you want people to have with your
No.
game.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, wonderful emails today. Thank you, everyone. A really great discussion all around for points that don't usually get brought up on the show. So keep them coming. tacpodcast@gmail.com. That's going to do it for the show. Big fat thanks to our patrons again. If you enjoy the show, if you like what we're doing, check out patreon.com/TAC. And support us for however much works for you. We really do appreciate it. And also, keep those 5-star iTunes reviews coming. We really appreciate those as well. Thanks to Machiavellian Gary. Thanks to Gabe702, who said that this is the reason he started listening to podcasts. So, you hit us right in the feels, man. Carlos
That means a lot.
Carlos Vincio. I'm going to say Fetster. With Leet Speak is how this guy chose to spell his name, and then Aztec Elvis, who wins the best name of the day in our iTunes. Thank you. So thank you,
That's
Aztec
amazing.
Elvis. The Angry Chicken can be found on amove.tv and youtube.com/amovetv. Thanks to our Patreon producers, Declan H and LVE. Get our coffee mugs, pint glasses, and everything else over at bit.ly/amovestore. Get the t-shirts on /loot.com. Follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast. And we will be back next Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv for the next Prime episode. And catch us this Thursday at 5 for the Brawl episode.
Oh, except for me. It's my birthday on Thursday.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Cool.
So I will be golfing.
Well,
Ooh.
A, happy birthday, and B, if it's a repeat, we'll probably just skip it then.
That's true too. Yeah. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I'm in Hawaii. That's why I won't be there.
Clearly, as I can see from your background with the waves that are apparently frozen. It must be very cold in Hawaii
It's
right
just there's not a lot of wind right now, so
Yeah.
they kicked up and then they just kind of sat there.
Yeah, I'm looking at a white cap, though, that's just frozen in place.
Don't
Frozen
think
in
about it
place.
too hard,
Okay,
Garrett.
okay, all right. I'll treat it like the Nexus. I'll take Uther's advice and not to think about these
There you
things
go,
too hard. Thanks to Alpha Geek Media, .com, where you can live stream the show virtually from any device, thanks to them. And also thanks to BrianGriffithMusic.com for our intro music. Dales, where can folks find you when you're not clearly in Hawaii?
Well, when I'm not in Hawaii, you usually can find me on Twitter, tweeting funny things about poop most of the time. You can also check out my stream, twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF. And then, of course, the Instance and Stormcast. But yeah, you probably know about that kind of stuff. But definitely check me out on my Twitch feed. I'll be streaming every single day except for Thursday, which is my birthday. So check me out. I might still stream my birthday. We'll see.
Awesome. And again, man, if we don't talk to you then, which it sounds like we won't be, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Jocelyn, how about you? Where can folks find you?
They can find me over on Twitter at Joss Plays, which is the same as my Twitch channel. Also right here on AMove TV every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Gamers Inn.
Awesome. Totally awesome. Find me at Garrett Art on Twitter. Find every other damn show I do on AMove.tv. Gonna finally bring back the Angry Nerd this week, so keep your ears and eyes peeled for that. I guess just ears, because it's audio only. For the time being.
Just
Dun,
stare
dun,
at a
dun.
picture of Garrett while you listen to it.
Please, or don't.
That's the best way to experience that show, I think.
Or don't, because that's super creepy.
I actually really love to picture all your listeners just kind of in a dim lit room with a little picture of you listening to the
candle,
Angry
just
Nerd.
like a
Also,
little-
in my head, they're not like on a phone looking at like my Twitter avatar. They like have a
an
a
actual,
Polaroid.
like-
Yeah,
Exactly,
a framed
yeah.
picture. Yeah,
Yeah.
they basically created an altar to Garrett, and they put it on like giant 70s
candles?
headphones with like the curly cord, you know? And they're like, "Mom, get out of my room!" And then they just put on, yeah, that's what I picture.
Maybe one day
all
I'll
of your
tell
listeners,
the
every one of them.
maybe one day I'll tell the story of my high school experience where I walked into this girl's room and there were a lot of photos of me on the wall,
Whoa!
and it was
it
and then you were like this.
it was a red flag. No,
We're
it was
dating now.
it was a huge red flag. Maybe I'll tell this. Probably not. Probably not.
I think you just did tell the story.
Yeah, that's the story. That's the end of that story.
Wait, there's more to this story.
There's more?
What happened next?
Yeah, it was me being really creeped out. That's the rest of the story.
All right.
Anyways, folks, hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to check out squarespace.com where you can use the code TAC to get 10% off your first order. We thank them for the support. We thank you all for listening. Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes.
Assert your dominance.